Yo, what's up? I'm Ayobennie.
I'm Keke.
And we are Tirred. Thanks again for tuning into our podcast episode this day.
Video podcast episode, I should say.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about a little something special and a little different. We're going to be talking about our top movies and books of black makers. So our black artists have made films and movies throughout the years, and we're just going to talk about a few of our favorites.
Yeah. Or some of these are not necessarily, I would say, my favorites, but I will say they are movies that I think you should watch, whether it's historically accurate or not. It can be comedic, whatever it is, but I just feel like it's either like a funny depiction of, like, you know, black culture, or it's just like a nice representation of black artistry. So we're just kind of highlighting these people
and these films and books because we feel like they're important to the black experience.
That's right.
So first we're going to be talking about movies. The first movie that we're going to talk about is actually Black Panther.
Ooh, yeah.
So Black Panther, for those of you who do not know, it was a superhero film by Marvel that came out in the year 2018 in February, and it turned out to be a really huge box office success. It was very important to us black people because it was the first black superhero film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it became a really huge top grosser. It became the third highest grossing film in America at that time, and one of the top highest grossing films of all time worldwide.
Yeah, so we all know Black Panther was a historical moment for black people, and like Wakanda forever. Because I remember I was kind of late on the Black Panther train, and all I know is everybody's like Wakanda forever. From black to white, I don't care. Everybody was saying it, and I was like, what is this? You know, like, I know people who literally went to go see that movie like back to back to back to back when it was in theaters.
I saw it 3 times in
Pre-COVID,
theaters.
okay? Pre-COVID days. And when I saw it in theaters, I think I was in LA, and I was like, okay, I get the hype now. Like, I love this. And as we all know, Chadwick Boseman did an amazing job. And we actually reviewed that movie, so if you want to talk...
We did not
we didn't review that? But we talked... Oh, no, we didn't review... I'm sorry.
We reviewed Ma Rainey's Black Bottom with Chadwick Boseman in it.
Yeah, don't listen to me. What I meant to say was that we talk about how great of an artist Chadwick Boseman is, and how he's dearly missed by us and so many others, and just how we're so glad that his artistry was able to be shared with us in his in the short period of time that he had on this earth. But so he's obviously a huge part of what makes that movie. I mean, he's the main character, King T'Challa?
T'Challa.
Yeah, T'Challa. So we're not here to get the movie away, but I will say, you need to watch that movie. It is historical to have a Marvel
black superhero.
Yeah, superhero, exactly. So that's definitely number one.
Yep. The next movie we're going to be talking about is The Color Purple. Now, The Color Purple is a very monumental movie for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's because it stars our favorite black artists, Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey, Danny Glover. It's about a young woman named Celie who goes through life from a young age up into her elder adult life, and it talks about the struggles that she faces in the Jim Crow South after being separated from her family. Do you remember anything about that movie?
To be honest with you, I watched that movie so long ago, and I also read the book. So I watched the movie first when I was a child, and I just remember, like, that movie really depressed me. I remember, like, one of the there were so many significant scenes in that movie, but somehow, what was that, like?
Me and you must never part.
I don't know why, but it made me so sad. Like, that whole, I don't know. Like,
so the movie is very sad because it also applies to what it's like for black women during that time. So a lot of black women didn't have any say-so. They didn't have any control. They were just seen as objects. And Celie, the main character, was just seen as an object, and she was passed around and traded and, you know, mistreated throughout her adult life and her young childhood. And it's so depressing having to see someone experience that in the movie. But not just her, but it actually follows 3 women overall. It follows Celie, the main character played by Whoopi Goldberg, Sophia, played by Oprah Winfrey, and Suge, played by Margaret Avery.
And yeah, well, technically the movie is an adaptation based on the book by
Alice Walker.
Yes, and so I was just reading the book. Obviously, the book is going to give a lot more like detail and background because it's a book versus a movie that's only like 1.5 to 2 hours. So I was just reading the book, but I will say the book is definitely for adults because
it's very explicit.
Yeah, it is very explicit. I was kind of surprised. They definitely censor that in the movie, which I think is good because I mean, yeah, like it's like I said, a lot of at least black kids I'm sure watched it as kids. So, but the book I read later on in life, and I was like, okay, well, this is definitely not in the movie at all. But I will not give that away also. So I will just say, go and read the book if you want to get more of a background, more details about it. But the movie is worth it as well.
It definitely is. Definitely is.
Very well acted, I will say.
Very well acted.
Like, I felt it. As a kid, I felt it.
The movie was directed by Steven Spielberg. It, like I said, stars Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey, Danny Glover, Margaret Avery. It also was able to receive 11 Academy Award nominations at the 1985 Academy Award. Didn't win any, but it was nominated for 11, including Best Picture, Best Actress, and Best Supporting Actress for both Oprah Winfrey and Margaret Avery.
Yeah. All right.
All right. The next movie we're going to be talking about is BlackKlansman.
Okay, yeah, BlackKlansman. Have you watched that one?
I have not seen it actually.
Okay, so BlackKlansman surprised me because it's not a movie that I would like normally be like, yeah, let me go watch it. And I was actually really happy because it was the first role that I got to see. What was his name again? I don't want to call him John David Washington. Yeah, John David Washington. Because I'm like, I don't want to call him Denzel Washington's son because he worked so hard to make a name for himself. I don't want to disrespect the man like that. So he did a great job. This is the first time I've actually seen him act in a movie. I'm sure he's probably done other roles before, but this is the first time, and I was like, he did such a good job. And yeah, basically the movie is based on a true story, but obviously it's more exaggerated. I have not read about the real story about, his name is, the main character who is actually played by John David Washington is basically a black man who somehow infiltrated the KKK and kind of like fooled the leader into thinking he was a white man, and like basically he worked at the police department and he used one of his white colleagues to kind of like fill in for him or like kind of like play the role in person, but he was the one who was like doing everything behind the scenes and talked to him over the phone and things like that. So it's actually kind of funny. So even though it's kind of like the movie is depicting some true like racist like the reality of how it was, especially with the KKK at its like prime at that time. So it's like it's kind of like deep, it's heavy, but at the same time I really laughed in that movie, so they made it funny at the same time. So I thought it was kind of it was a nice little mix. So I would definitely suggest that you watch it. And yeah, I'm like, I cannot believe that's actually based on a true story because I never knew that somebody actually did that, like, and survived to tell the tale. So go watch it.
Yes. Recommended, go watch it. It also received several Academy Award nominations as well, including one win for Best Adapted Screenplay. So
well deserved.
Next movie we're going to be talking about is Friday. Now, before we get into that, Friday didn't win any Academy Awards.
I don't even remember that. I watched that movie so long ago, and to be honest, I don't remember, but
that movie, Friday, is like one of the funniest movies you will ever see. It is hilarious. It's mainly hilarious because it stars Ice Cube and Chris Tucker, and just them two together was hilarious. Ice Cube plays Craig, Chris Tucker plays Smokey, and there are individuals who live in South Central Los Angeles on a Friday, and they just talk about how the day progresses from bad to worse.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I watched the movie when I was a kid and I did not understand it. I didn't get the humor. I didn't get it at all.
Well, we need to watch it now because it is hilarious. It is one of the funniest movies I will ever watch.
I'm sure it's like probably one of the things. Like, I don't know if you guys ever seen Soul Plane. This is not on the list. I'm not saying you need to watch this movie because it's so stupid. It's so stupid. But if you want to watch a stupid, mindless movie with some black people in it, like Snoop Dogg and some ridiculous people, go watch the movie. Because I watched that movie again the other day because it was free on one of the streaming services, and I was like, oh, like, you know, it's just something to put in the background. I was like, this movie is really stupid. Like, I didn't even...
Soul Plane is one of the dumbest movies ever. It stars Kevin Hart before he was Kevin Hart.
Yeah, it's like Kevin Hart. What's the other Hispanic girl?
It's Kevin Hart, Sofia Vergara.
It's just sad.
Monique. Yeah, Lonnie Love. Snoop Dogg. Method Man.
It's a mindless, dumb movie with just a whole bunch of black people in there, but I'm not saying you don't.
That's not one of the movies we're talking about. So moving on.
Yeah.
Back to Friday. Friday is a great movie, and I recommend watching it. The next movie we're going to be talking about is actually Coming to America.
Yes.
Coming to America is one of the most funniest movies you'll watch because it stars the comedian king himself, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy plays a king, Hakeem, who is, not king, he's a prince. And he is coming to America to find a bride so that he can become king and she can become queen. You want to talk about it?
Oh. Yeah, actually, I never saw this movie until recently when Ben put it on. I'm like, oh my goodness, this movie is actually really good. And it's obviously a movie that I've known that I should watch. I just never got around to doing it. And I'm glad I did. Yeah, Eddie Murphy is hilarious in this movie.
He plays several characters.
Yeah. Eddie Murphy and
Arsenio Hall.
So, yes, that too, like, because I was telling Ben, I was like, one of the characters, I'm like, why does his skin look a little off? Like, it looks kind of gray. And he's like, oh, that's because that's Eddie Murphy, but, like, they disguised him as another character. And so, it was just, like, yeah, that was interesting, too. I was like, wow, like, they're pretty talented to be able to, like, play all these different roles in the one film. So, and I just, honestly, I found it hilarious. Like, it was kind of ridiculous, but it's definitely I understand why it's a classic. So... watch it on your streaming services. Which one was it on?
We saw it on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Look for the sequel coming to Amazon Prime soon, in the next month.
There's a sequel.
Yes.
Can't wait for that.
All right. The next movie we're going to be talking about is...
Get Out. Let's talk about Get Out.
We're going to talk about Get Out.
So, I'm sure you guys have all heard about Get Out by now, and if you haven't, what are you doing? But Get Out... like that, you have to watch it. I feel like that has to be now a classic. Okay, so what is his name? Jordan Peele, I think, was the one who like wrote it, directed it, produced it, all that stuff. And I love Key and Peele. Like, I think they're hilarious. Like, I've loved them from back their skits comedy days. But yeah, it's really cool to see that now he's moved and progressed from that, or they both have, and they've expanded, and I'm like, wow, he's so talented. But yeah, I love Get Out. I think it had some really cool themes in there, and basically the premise of the movie is, so there's like these two college students who are like in love, and the boyfriend is black, the girlfriend is white, and he is going home to her family's home to meet the family. Yeah, to meet the family for like the weekend or whatever however many days. And let's just say things turn south pretty quickly. And he almost doesn't make it back. But that's about as much as I'm going to tell you. There's some mind stuff going on. There's some interesting themes that he throws in there. So it's definitely worth a watch. The acting is great. Yeah, I think it's cool. They also have like different endings to the movie, but I'm glad like they chose like an official one for the actual movie itself. Like they chose like one, but like you can go in and search alternate endings, and I think that's pretty interesting. But I'm happy with the one that they did choose, because if they chose the other one, I kind of would have been upset. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say what it is. So watch it.
Yep. I saw Get Out once. It's not one of my favorite movies, but I do understand the cultural and historical significance of the film. And I feel like the first 2/3 were amazing. The last half, I didn't really like the ending. But maybe I like the alternate endings better.
If you like the alternate ending, there's something wrong with you, okay?
All right, we're not going to acknowledge that. Hateration.
You have hateration. You don't hate it,
all right. So we're going to talk about the next film. The next film is going to be 12 Years a Slave. Now, 12 Years a Slave, to me, is one of the most honest depictions of slavery, because it is brutal, it is honest, it is a story that progresses into not just having a happy ending, but having an ending that is just like, I wouldn't say it's happy, but it's honest. It's something that actually happened. It's the story of Solomon Northam, who is a violinist in the North. He lives in one of the northern states, until he is kidnapped and sold into slavery for 12 years. And during that time, he goes through many situations of finding different owners, of going through the slave auction, of going through being able to be whipped, beaten, lynched. All these things happened to him, and it was so sad and so depressing. But I feel like slavery has never been portrayed so honestly in the United States ever until that film was made.
Wow, those are some strong declarations.
Yes,
Wait 1 second.
I agree.
Just pause this. I will definitely
Did you pause this?
No, because I just want to make sure, because you know how a few times it like came off. I just want to make sure it's still recording.
Okay.
Yeah, we might just have to edit
Okay.
that out. Sorry. It's still recording. Hopefully the sound is fine. Okay.
Yeah. You have any more films, or you want to move on to books now?
Let's see. Which ones? Did you miss any? We talked about. Oh, we didn't talk about Judas and the Black Messiah, but.
Well, we can talk about Judas and the Black Messiah. It's a new film that just came out, and I feel like it is an amazing film. It portrays what happened to Fred Hampton, and it is such an amazing movie. It's about the Black Panthers. For those of you who don't know who the Black Panthers are, the Black Panthers were black liberationists. They were there to revolutionize how society saw and viewed black people and how black people viewed themselves. But most importantly, how they protected themselves and provided for themselves. And I feel like Fred Hampton was an amazing leader of the group. He was in their Chicago area, and he was supposed to, lead the group into becoming revolutionized, into becoming bigger, growing stronger, building things like medical clinics, schooling systems, helping, get kids off the streets, helping provide for themselves. And I feel like they did such an amazing job portraying what he was trying to do in the film, as well as the downside to the FBI trying to destroy him and destroy the Black Panthers. But overall, I feel like it was a great film, and I recommend that anybody who has HBO Max or wants to go to the theaters or the drive-ins and watch it, I recommend that you do, because it is an amazing film and a must-watch.
Yeah. So those are some of the movies. Obviously, there's so many more movies. We didn't want to put a whole bunch of movies, obviously. Not realistic for us to make a huge, 100 movies.
Because we can make a 100 movie list about the black films that you should watch, because we could talk about it all day.
We could. If you want it, let us know. Yeah. But we just kind of want to make this, short and compact as far as, for Black History Month and, what you guys could, watch right now. So that's, the movie list. But we want to mention a few books. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was kind of challenging because, I came up with this idea to do this, or we came up with an idea to do this list of books and movies and representing black authors, and that's when I realized, oh my goodness, even a lot of the books that I thought that were that are based on black stories or black history, novels, whether fiction or nonfiction, I'm oh my goodness, they're not actual black authors. I just thought that they were, and they weren't. And I'm oh my goodness. Also, none of the books that I read in school included any black authors. There was definitely no diversity in that. And so actually that just made me realize that I need to challenge myself and actually look for black authors to read, and not just for books about just black stories and things like that, but actually reading it from an actual person who either experienced it or who is writing about it in a fictional way. So yeah, this was actually a challenge for me.
Yeah. It wasn't too much of a challenge for me because I do follow black
okay,
literacy.
Whatever.
But I do understand why it could be. I do understand how it could be challenging because the masses do not promote black literature that much.
Yeah.
Especially growing up in Canada, I don't really imagine that it would be a priority for me including the curriculum.
And plus, I grew up in French school, so that's another perspective too. I went to school in Quebec. I went to full French school, so obviously we focus on a lot of French literature. I remember reading German. So there was diversity in that sense, but not in the sense of obviously black literature. And there's so much out there, and so many talented writers. So now it's on me as an adult to actually seek out the information, and so should you guys. So don't just depend on your educational the educational system to teach you, because more than likely they probably won't teach you your history, and they probably won't highlight any black authors and creatives and things like that. So that's your responsibility to do that.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna grab my phone.
Okay.
You can edit that out later.
Yeah.
We're back.
Alright.
Alright, so we're going to start first with one of our favorite books that is by a famed author, Maya Angelou. So Maya Angelou wrote a book called I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And in that book, it tells the story of a young girl as she transitions into womanhood. There are many themes in that book, beginning from love, from depression, from sadness, to loneliness, to embracing life as it is. And in those themes, they're very controversial for the time because they weren't really talking about women feeling liberated and women discovering themselves at the time of the book's writing. But the book as a whole now is one of the most acclaimed books by a female author. You want to say anything about it?
I can't speak on it because I'm not done the book yet, actually. My sister got it for me for Christmas, and I am finally reading it, so can't really speak on the book. But obviously I know of Maya Angelou, and I've known of this book. Once again, I regret that it has taken me this long to read it, but this is definitely an area that I have to work on, clearly. So don't judge me, please.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. The next book that we're going to talk about now is called Kindred, and it's by Octavia Butler. Now, the book Kindred is about a girl who lives in the 1970s, and she is taken back in time to the days of slavery through time travel. It's not through traditional time travel, like she didn't get to a machine, but from somehow she's taken back into the days of slavery. And there she meets her relatives, and she discovers the harsh reality of who her relatives are and how and how her generation was come to be. It is a very dramatic book. It's a very eye-opening book about the horrors of slavery as well as the horrors of who your family tree is. And it's written by Octavia Butler.
Oh, I want to read it now.
Yeah, it's a great book. I really recommend it. The next book that I would recommend is called Between the World and Me. And it's written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's hard to pronounce his name.
Say that name right.
I apologize if I mispronounced his name. But he wrote a book called Between the World and Me, and it's pretty much a letter to his son who talks about what it's like being a black man in the 21st century.
Oh, I think I heard of this book.
Yeah, it's a great book. It won the National Book Award back in 2015. It is a great book because it talks about what it's like as a young black man, in the eyes of the police, in the eyes of America, what it means for yourself, how do you try to heal yourself from the traumas of your ancestry and of the past of your people, and how to form a path for yourself. It is a very, very, very good book. Do you have a book that you want to include in there?
No.
Let's see, you don't have any books so far.
Oh, wow! The disrespect.
The hits. It just came.
The disrespect is potent over here, okay? Let me just say, don't come for me, don't roast me, don't drag me, okay?
I didn't come for you. I didn't roast you. I didn't do nothing.
You might as well have with that tone he just did, but, you know, I just realized, I mean, obviously, I don't know, I just can't think of any books off the top of my head other than Color Purple, but, like,